Welcome to the KeyBored Podcast. Three bored friends gather around a virtual table to discuss gaming, movies, and TV, music, the meaning of life, what might actually live underneath your bed, and of course, the never-ending quest to find the magical key to solving boredom. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. Joining me are co-host Bailey and Cole.
Hello.
Thank you, and welcome to episode 1 of our podcast. We're delighted that you've chosen to stop by and watch us stream live on Twitch at twitch.tv/keyboardpodcast, or are catching us after the live recording on youtube.com and podcast services everywhere. If you like what you are hearing and or seeing, please take a second to give us a follow or subscribe. The crew and I would love to keep bringing you great content, and this lets us know how we're doing and if we're doing something right out there. All right, guys. That was the intro.
God damn, that's how you start off a podcast.
I hope so, man. I was shaking the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
All good, it's all
Turn off this
good.
music. All right. So, what do we do now?
I guess we go into our topics, right?
What do we do
I
now?
guess we could start off some topics, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
because like Ryan was saying, that this podcast, we are going to be talking a lot about a lot of different topics, although gaming is going to be sort of core to the podcast. So I think a good way to start off the podcast is as a introduction to ourselves into the podcast. I think it might be a good idea to kind of go over a little bit of our gaming history. You know, what our life growing up with video games was sort of looking like. So Ryan, as the quote unquote host. As the boomer of the group.
All right, so my name's Ryan. As you have already heard, basically my gaming history started way back in NES. I mean, Mario. I remember beating the living shit out of my NES, and I can only move Mario like up and down. That's it. Just jumps. So from there, I mean, my first love was actually PC gaming. Way back in DOS, where you had like Falcon 3.0 and X-Wing. It was the greatest shit ever. And then it moved on to console gamings with Xbox and Halo. I mean, who didn't have that? You know, at least someone my age as a gamer, you had Halo, and then moved up into a love of PC gaming endlessly. Mostly FPSs now. And I'll still play some sports games here and there, and I mostly spend most of my time gaming with, Cole and Bailey. They're like always going to be on here, so I am looking forward to that. Like a Crash saying, Halo might be the GOAT. I love it.
Never played Halo before in my life.
You've never played Halo before?
I have never ever played Halo.
Oh god, this podcast is already
I'm sorry.
going to start off to be a heated one.
Time to stop.
All right, well, Bailey, do you want to, if Ryan is done, you want to go into your history, or do you want me to go ahead?
Can go.
I don't know, ladies first,
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Wii, like the little white Wii, I'm not sure if that's called the Wii.
The Nintendo Wii?
The Nintendo Wii, yes. Well, there's lots of Wiis, but that was like probably, if not the first, otherwise just a good old laptop. I was that laptop gamer, gaming on their laptop with the shitty bike.
Hold on, so your start to gaming started on the Wii?
I can't remember if it was on the... Oh. I did also have a Nintendo DS, if that even counts. As, I guess it does.
God, you're so young.
I'm sorry. My parents didn't let us play games when we were younger, so probably I would say laptop. I actually started like gaming on laptop. Play a lot of with my brother. Play a lot of TF2, Team Fortress 2.
I never played Team
that.
Fortress. You really?
I swear I never did. I mean, maybe I did it on accident. I think if that's a thing. I mean, I don't know.
Accident. Okay.
I didn't like.
Yeah,
I didn't,
like Steam's like most popular game of all time, other than probably CS:GO. You've never played.
Yeah, I played TF2. Other Webkins. Does that count? I played Webkins.
I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you.
What is it?
Webkins?
Don't you me after saying that you started off on the Wii.
You go to the store
God,
and
we
you
got
buy a little stuffed animal, and they give you a code, and you put that code on the Webkins website, and you get to play with your animal on the website. You could like build a hobe.
Jesus Christ, we
kinda
got the
like-
technical
like a
boomer and the
Tamagotchi?
technical zoomer.
No. It was on
Was it
your
like- was it like
computer.
No, it's a
better version of
webkin.
it?
Come
No.
on, Ryan. It's a webkin.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
you
it's
buy
like a Tamagotchi, but better. Just web version, right?
well, yeah, but you could like build them a house. You could play games. You could do whatever you want. It was the best. The best. And I started playing TF2, and I have 1,000 hours in TF2, but I haven't played it in the last 10 years. So, what a game!
All right, so that's kind of interesting because it sounds like I have probably some of the most cross console experience between either of you, because I started off way back. Like honestly, some of my very first memories was me playing on the PlayStation 1, the old classic gray PlayStation. And then from there, I moved to the PS2, the Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One, and now I'm finally on PC. Oh, I also did have a Wii as well, but that was like the family console, so that wasn't like a personal thing for me as much. It was just out in the living room playing Wii Bowling and Wii Sports. Even though Wii Sports is one of the greatest video games of all time, to be honest. But
True.
But yeah, so all those consoles. I also had a DS, PSP, but now just a few years ago switched over to PC, and I think found my home when it comes to gaming.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bailey always
I
likes to
take
take
credit.
credit. Yeah, Bailey always
I
likes to
take
take credit for me and Jake switching over to PC.
I think I had something to do.
I feel like I skipped over a lot because I'm so old that
God, you are though.
there are definitely other consoles in there. I don't need to like touch on everyone, but I have played a lot of consoles, but not like I was never big into handhelds. I don't like it. The Switch is like one of my the PS Vita was my first handheld. Barely touched it, and then the Switch is like that's about it.
I love my Switch.
Yeah.
Switch good.
But so if we wanted to move on past that, we got our gaming history out of the way. Nice boring crap. We had more boring crap by saying basically one of the topics we wanted to bring up was how we came together on this podcast, and I think it was Cole actually that said something about it.
I remember a
We
very long
talked.
time ago, you had brought up that you thought that would be a fun idea to have you, myself, and Bailey do a podcast. And we had talked about it a little bit, and we were always like, oh yeah, that's so cool, let's do it. And then we stopped talking about it, and it was like, I don't remember how long ago it was. It was probably like over a year ago that we had originally talked about this.
Camera a year ago, so to prepare for this moment.
I think that's what it was. I think that's the reason for you getting the webcam was for when we were going to do the podcast. But yeah, we wound up kind of dropping that. But just like it was always kind of on the back of my mind. I've always really liked the idea of doing a podcast because I have a big mouth. I like to talk a lot. So I've always been interested in trying to do a podcast. And I remember Bailey and I, as well as one of our other friends, Lazy, as we like to call him, because of his gamer tag, we tried doing a podcast, and we got one episode in, and it kind of flubbed. It was kind of a wash for our podcast, but yeah. So like I was saying, talked about it like a year ago, us three doing the podcast. We dropped it, but just recently, because I've always wanted to do a podcast, I've always had it on the back of my mind, I kind of brought it back up to Ryan, like, hey Ryan, you remember how we had talked about doing a podcast? And and your response was like, yep. And that was it. I was like, hey, wouldn't that be kind of fun?
Response to everything. Just yep.
My response, yep.
But
I mean, I'm glad we're doing it.
Yeah, and we've definitely taken this way more serious than Bailey, Lazy, and I had taken our podcast. That was
ours. And I do want to take this opportunity to thank Bailey. The background you're seeing, all the logos, everything, Bailey did all of that. So if anyone's in the chat, say thank you to Bailey. If not, say thank you in your mind when you're listening to the podcast later on. That Bailey did a great job.
Yep, Bailey is a graphic designer. educated and trained graphic design. So
Educated and
She's
trained.
smart. She's smart.
Okay.
smart.
And I guess if we're gonna do roles, because Bailey is gonna be in charge of most of or all of the art, Cole is gonna be doing a lot of our YouTube stuff and probably a chunk of our social media presence on Twitter, eventually maybe Instagram.
Possibly
There we
TikTok.
go. We got to thank you in the chat. All right. Thank you. And what else are you gonna do, Cole?
I was mostly going to kind of head like the video editing side of things. So if we ever come to the conclusion if we want to do like clips or anything like that to put on our social medias, I'll be in charge of that. But mostly, what my sort of role is going to be mostly the video editing side of things when it comes to YouTube, as well as like your Bailey had said, try to have more of a social media presence on our Twitter and other social medias that we may or may not make.
And I think what I'll be doing is kind of uploading the podcast to our RSS and making sure it goes to all the accounts properly. You know, kind of filling in the gaps is mostly thing, because these guys are better at graphic and video editing than I am. I can do audio and a bunch of nerd shit is what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, so those are sort of like our individual roles, but our group roles is definitely like coming up with topics, and it's never going to be a thing where we are solely in charge of this. We are making sure that we're doing a good job of getting group feedback and approval, as well as throwing around ideas, just so that way we feel that we don't have like one person taking complete control over something and leaving the rest of the group out, and making sure that the workload isn't just being placed on one person so they don't feel overwhelmed with things. Definitely exactly. Making sure this is a group effort.
Exactly. And I think so based on the collaboration, I wanted to say this. I maybe something will open up in the future, but all of our ideas is all like Cole said, a group effort. We're going to put it all together, and everything has to go through a unanimous approval process. And eventually, I think what we might possibly do is maybe if we get enough listeners, so keep on listening, that's a hint, is take some suggestions from some of our subscribers in the future. If we have a subscriber option, why not have you guys write in with some questions? We'll respond to chat, but I think for the most part, you know, we're going to listen to our audience eventually someday and talk about some interesting things, because there are a lot of ideas that we're not going to hit on. We're not going to be able to get them all.
Yeah, definitely. So, like possible Q&As in the future, or just if people want to hit us up on Twitter and our Twitch chat, YouTube comments, anywhere you can reach us on social medias with ideas for topics or things that you want to hear us discuss. You definitely hit us up on those platforms, and yeah, we'll make sure to approve and disapprove whatever needs.
For the podcast listeners, I was pointing down to our socials just in case.
Yeah, for the non-video listeners out there.
Yes. So we had written down here oldest gaming memories. Do you guys want to still hit on that, or do we kind of cover it? I don't know.
We didn't so much cover on the memories so much, just what we have talked about or what we started gaming on. So
give me an example of a memory then, Cole.
Oh God, fucking
put you on the spot right away.
Yeah, thanks. But one of the oldest gaming memories that I have, like I said, like some of my earliest memories just in general are from gaming on the PS1. So, you know, just sitting with my cousin Adam, just having him watch me play, watching him play, is always gonna have a special place in my heart. But do you guys remember cheat codes in video games? Like actual cheat codes, not fucking cheats. Yeah, or cheat CC. But
yep.
But some of my earliest memories was there's Medal of Honor back on I'm pretty sure it's the PS1. They had cheat codes, and they had some of the craziest cheat codes I've ever seen in a World War II shooter back at that time, where it's like you could have a fully auto shotgun with ricochet. So it's like you could just post up on the door, start blasting into a fucking hallway, and all the BBs from all the buckshot will just bounce all over the walls and fucking kill everybody in the hallway or something. But
Seems fair.
yeah, like those cheat codes back then. I don't know why games nowadays don't really do cheat codes like that. Like I think pretty much the only game that probably still does that is probably Grand Theft Auto. But even then, it's still very, very stripped down to what they used to do. Because I remember on Vice City, even you could do cheat codes to have like everybody in the game had like big heads, which actually increased the hitbox of the heads as well.
All I remember is fire hydrants falling on my head in GTA from being cheated on and just instantly dying all the time.
All right, I'm so glad you followed that up, because if you're just going to leave it, I just remember having fire hydrants fall on my head. I was going to be a little concerned.
Where are you hanging out? They're just falling from the sky.
God, I knew Minnesota was a wild place.
God.
True.
So I think one of my memories that just popped, I was trying to think of one as you were explaining your school. I think one of my favorite memories I was playing, it doesn't involve you guys, but I think you might have seen it. It was in Gary's Mod, and if you haven't played Gary's Mod is a old Half-Life mod, Half-Life 2 mod actually, and it's just a sandbox editor where you can fill in random NPCs, download other mods to go within the mod, and it's just about a bunch of silliness. I remember we took a whole bunch of booster packs, strapped it to like this ship model, and we put my character in it and put them at full blast, and the instant that it took off, the character died and it was just a skeleton. So we went back and recreated it, and I put Rocket Man to it. So it's basically just a skeleton shaking violently, going through the fucking sky, listening to Rocket Man. And I don't know. It's just one of those things that just stuck with me, and I was dying laughing. I did do it on stream. There is a clip somewhere on the internet of that.
God,
I have to say it's probably one of my favorites, aside from like 12-hour, 13-hour Halo sessions.
I can totally fucking see you doing that too. And think it was the funniest thing ever.
Seriously, like you had to. It's one of those things. I know you had to be there, but if anyone's messed with Gary's Mod, you know the dumb crap that can just happen, or that you can create. It's kind of both. You make the chaos, and then it just happens on its own.
Yeah, I got another memory that I just kind of thought of when you were saying that, and it's definitely one of those, like you said, you had to be there kind of moments. But on the 360, one of my all-time favorite games was Black Ops 2. I loved running around on the hardcore TDM and just mowing down lobbies with me and my friends. But I was playing with two of my friends, and it was like 5 games in a row. One of my friends that I went to middle school with, he would die. He would be first blooded every single match at the very beginning. And so we joined into another game, and me and my other friend were just giving him a whole bunch of shit for it. And he was like, all right, I'm not fucking dying first this game. And about 10 seconds into the match, he fucking dies first, and he just goes, fuck! And I could not stop laughing. I could barely fucking breathe at this, but it's definitely one of those you have to be there type moments. But every time I think about it, I just get a big old goofy ass grin on my face, because it's just fucking hilarious thinking about it.
Bailey, it is your turn.
Well,
other than fire hydrants falling on your head.
Other than that was not fun, because I was just dying all the time. Gosh, I don't know. Probably when I'm not sure how. Yes, it's stream friendly, but when you and me, Cole, used to have something to drink and then play video games. Those were the times.
I remember.
Yeah,
this is gonna be this podcast. I will say very openly. I mean, you can drink, you can smoke, and whatever you do. Your thing. We're adults here.
I'm not sure if it was you and me and and Jake, your cousin, playing.
Mhm.
But at one point, you had just passed out in the middle,
Yep,
and
a
me
good
and Jake
old
just
Fortnite drinking streams.
we were playing Fortnite. And you just kept playing. You just like didn't come back. We're like, uh-oh, something happened to this.
Yeah, it's funny that
man.
you say you remember that because I have very faint memories of those times for obvious reasons because I was damn near passing out.
Because I'm just like chilling. You like wake up the next morning and show me a picture of like the bottle that you drank and it's empty and it was full. Just like, what?
Yep.
Those are good memories.
Yep, I remember because alcohol was like a performance enhancing substance whenever I played Fortnite. I got better when I played drunk. I don't know why.
I actually remember that being the case in Rainbow Six Siege, sir.
I get better at Siege, yes.
Because I've seen you decimate after you've had a few drinks on Siege.
I
Last time
just-
you played, in fact, you destroyed an entire team. I think you aced.
I
Like, no
probably
problem.
did. I just go into like autopilot. So with a game like Siege is my personal all-time favorite video game. I fucking love that game to death. It has brought me so many good memories, and that's how I met a lot of my good online friends. I wouldn't have met Bailey if it wasn't for Siege. I wouldn't have met you, Ryan, if it wasn't for Siege. I wouldn't have met a lot of people that I call friends now if it wasn't for Siege. So Siege holds a special place in my heart, but it's one of those games that I took very seriously a long time ago, so I tried to do very good. And then I have a few drinks and I started just going on autopilot, so I think that's probably why I was able to do somewhat decent whenever I got drunk playing games like Siege or Fortnite.
Yeah, I think that's how I met you, was in Siege for sure.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have met Bailey because I met a friend on Siege when I was playing on PS4. And around that time, Fortnite was starting to get bigger. So my friend Benji was streaming Fortnite. And Bailey was in Benji's chat, and we were just talking back and forth. And that's how Bailey and I met. And, you know, Bailey found your stream. I'm not sure what your stream is, either probably Siege or Overwatch, I'd imagine. But
I think I found your stream. I think you were playing with another person who played with, like, John. I think I found John's stream.
I remember that.
Ryan
yeah.
was also playing with them. Also,
That was Overwatch, where I met John.
Yeah, Overwatch.
Yep, 100%.
And that's where I met you, and that's where I met Seth, my boyfriend.
Which is
So we now live
important.
together.
Very important. That is an important thing.
Important.
We'll get Seth on here. We're gonna
You
the
brought
virtual
up
round table.
Yeah, you brought that up, and that was one that I was a little confused by because I think because I mostly play like FPS games, like online FPS games nowadays, so you don't really see commercials too much. But you had brought up a article that was actually pretty interesting, so I'll let you head that topic right now.
Well, there's I believe that I should have probably pulled up that article, huh? I think it was it Tencent that was going to do it?
No, I think it was for NBA 2K series, wasn't it?
That was an okay. So basically, the way where I got this idea was listening to other podcasts out there. There are plenty out there for video games. Go find them if you want to really know. But this one has to go credit to Kind of Funny Games Daily. They had brought up at one point some commercials and stuff like that. And what I saw on my own after hearing them talk about it was ads within NBA 2K21. If anyone owns this game, I think you know. Basically, as the game is loading, it has ads. And my biggest problem with gaming and ads, a AAA title should not have ads.
Yeah, if you're paying for
$60-$70,
if you're paying full price for a product, there's no reason for them to add a additional monetary thing that they just throw in your face. Because I know that NBA as well, I mean, honestly, a lot of sport games nowadays, they also dive heavy into the realm of microtransactions, which is a whole other topic in itself. But I don't, like you're saying, I don't get why a AAA title that you're paying upwards of $60 to $70 for, they need to have a ad-based service within their game. it seems very selfish, almost shady to me personally.
It is definitely shady. Bailey, what do you think about the idea of
Yeah,
it?
I just think that, you know, maybe as many people will buy the game, but I don't think as many people will play the game for as long. Because if you're stuck watching ads, at least for me, that'd make you not want to play the game as long if you're just like ads all the time. Especially, I feel like many companies make so much money off of microtransactions, like, Modern
Yes.
Warfare and a lot of other places. They don't need any more money. I
That's
just think,
exactly it, though.
yeah, and
Is
they could,
a lot of them have that, right? A lot of them
yeah,
already have microtransactions. Look at now, free to play games, fine,
Yeah.
but a lot of these pay games still have microtransactions. The NBA being a huge problem with that.
Mhm.
play
I'm
games
actually
have
gonna bring.
microtransactions too.
I will actually bring this up for uh, us here. Hang on one second. So it's gonna be behind us here. So, oops, let me get this out of the way. Wrong window. All right, so basically, this is player one bringing ads to video games here. They're basically doing it for mostly console gaming. So console players, it sucks to be you. Sorry, we're mostly PC gamers here, and we still love gaming as a whole. But it looks like 15-second ad to unlock exclusive gaming perks, and I'm willing to bet there's going to be a subscription to avoid the ads. I'm sure.
Yeah,
Just
like you have with a
everything
lot of
out there.
mobile games, which you have like the base version, which is free, but you get ads every time you play. But then it's like you could pay $5 to unlock the full game, which is ad free.
I think it's a bunch of shit. That's what I think. Like it's just so
And
it's a cash grab.
yeah, and something that I myself would have a huge problem with if this came, because you said that ads pop up during loading times, right? During loading screens. So
In this particular case, yeah, for NBA, yeah.
So something that I would really have a huge issue with if they did some type of investigation is if people are saying like, is it just me, or does it feel like the game is taking a long time to load? So if NBA or 2K, the company that makes the NBA games, if they were deliberately slowing down load times just to fill in those ad slots for consoles, because now that you brought up that apparently it's a console only thing, I could see that becoming an issue, because on PCs you can have faster storage with like NVMe drives or PCIe storage drives, where loading times are much faster.
And what I have up on the window here is just the reference article, just so you guys know. Where it's a little bit old, but we're rehashing it because it's coming up more and more. I know you guys, Cole and Bailey, can't see it necessarily right away, but this is from Game Informer. Just as a reference, and basically all it's saying for the podcast, for the non-video listeners, is just basically the article from Game Informer saying NBA 2K21 adds unskippable ads in game. 2K once more in the hot seat with fans, and again, microtransactions were the main problem that people had, and now it's ads to add on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
also
now
just
we
like,
swing back over to this article here at Axios.com, where it's referencing player one and the this is mostly free to play right now, by the way, but the whole idea is the fact that it could be everywhere that we are as gamers stuck to deal with it, even though we're paying a premium. Sorry, Bailey, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, imagine like you're playing like a story-based game mode, single player story, and they have loading screens in between like certain areas of interactions, and if they had ads in between like playing the actual game, that would just make the immersion of the game just like non-existent. Like, oh, here's super immersive, like if you're playing like Last of Us or something, and then all of a sudden they need to do like a loading screen to get to like the next thing, just add.
Yeah, I couldn't see myself playing like a Resident Evil game, and then
Yeah.
during the loading screen, I get a fucking ad for Starbucks.
Well, what it does though is it also takes away from the areas where now this has also been addressed in other places, but remember the tooltips you used to get whenever you had a loading page,
Yep.
and you look at it and be like, shit, that's how you do that. Sometimes every once in a while those tooltips will be like, oh my god, that is genius, like why didn't I just read the damn controls?
Yep.
But even the other thing is too, how do you kind of have to force ads now with the new consoles, because how long is the load time on a PS5 and Xbox One X?
They're
It's
actually not
nothing.
that long. Yeah, they're very quick
Right.
to load.
So now we're talking, if they do bring it to this, they have to actually make the console wait for the ad to finish. Your game's ready, it's just hidden by an ad. So
Yep.
yeah,
Wow.
that isn't now. Just as a reminder, everybody, that is not what's happening yet. But this is just a theoretical talk as to what could happen uh, with ads in video games, because it's a slippery slope when it comes to money, and especially advertising, which is one of the biggest money makers in this country and around the world, is
Yep.
advertising. So it could be something we're stuck with.
Well,
And,
I think that as a community, as gamers, if there's something going on in the game that we don't like, I think it is our responsibility to put our money where our mouth is and stand out against these types of practices. So if this does become a thing that gets rolled out into more and more games, I think as gamers, we're just going to have to stop supporting these developers and these publishers that are doing these practices and just making life for gamers that much more harder.
I mean, it's tough though, right? How do you fight it whenever we we have a passion for this industry, the three of us and millions of others that are just like us, but there are also millions of others that just don't care. So that's the thing. That's how the publishers win, is they put out another Call of Duty. It's the same rehashed bullshit. Now Call of Duty games they're Warzone, a different beast. We're talking standard Call of Duties. It's the same rehashed bullshit. In my opinion, I still play them for fun with my friends. But it's that rehashed bullshit they can just constantly shovel out, and people will still buy it, and then they'll toss ads in and be like, no one's gonna give a shit. That's money
Yeah,
for us. That's how
yeah,
I feel that they view us. Not all developers and publishers are like that, but the big guys. You know who I'm talking about. We don't even have to name drop.
yeah. I mean, you kind of I think even to a worse extent with sports games, even like with Call of Duty, I can see why they want to redo a new game every year, is because they want to try to tell a new story, uh, tackle a new war or whatever, add new features to a game. But I mean, with sports games, it's like they're not even updating the engine on most of these games. Why can't they just? So it's mostly like paying for roster changes. Essentially, you're paying $60 just to change up a fucking roster because there's new people coming into the league. But I mean, why can't they just update the game itself? Why does this have to be a new game entirely? It's like a new expansion comes out for Call of Duty or Battlefield. You have to buy the whole game again instead of just downloading that expansion.
That's another thing we could talk about. Expansions for games can be as much as the full price game. Like there's expansions that are like $40. I think I'm not sure. I think Destiny has really expensive expansions.
Oh
Yeah,
my
some
God,
of theirs are
yes.
like $30. That's one of the biggest
Why?
reasons why I can never
I
get
mean,
into Destiny.
they put a lot into it, but it's just. I guess that's better. I guess that would be a good question, asking if expansions are better than just them making new games, or people rather buy, the $50 expansion and then have Destiny 2 be like a big thing for a while, and then just have a lot of expensive expansions, or just come out with a new game that just has all the expansions in it, and then have that
Yeah.
game for a while.
DLC is just DLC is just add-on sales. Add-on sales. It's literally they don't have to sell you a physical copy. They don't have to make physical copies for it. It's just a DLC. So
Mhm.
it's straight up they save on physical costs, so they're gonna put it out. Like it's a moneymaker. There's no shipping, no manufacturing costs other than your man hours for development and quality control, QC.
Yep.
So yeah, they're gonna keep on shelling it out. I absolutely like agree with what you're saying though. It's expensive, but
Yeah.
that is the gaming world that we live in, the tech world. I mean, everything costs money now. There are going
Yep.
to be some other topics that we talk about in future episodes that I think will really get some people thinking. And I hope you guys come back for that because it'll be awesome to hear the opinions on some of the future topics.
Yeah, definitely. If you're listening to the podcast, feel free to join in on the discussion. On all our social medias, Twitter, YouTube, in the comments, wherever you can get a hold of us and add a comment. Make sure to join in on the discussion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, from commercials onto movies. We're sticking with a gaming topic here, guys, just because this is what we're really in it for. We came together as gamers. We're going to talk about gaming topics a lot, but it's not the sole reason we're here. But today is mostly gaming. Bailey, should games really be made into movies?
I did bring this one kind of to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I don't think I've ever seen a movie that a video game like that's been based on a video game. I don't think I have personally ever seen it, but I have seen many people. I don't know if there's been a single one, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, that has just been like, this is a great movie and it, pays homage to the video game and it's totally accurate and not like faulty, or it's not like trying too hard. It's like, I like the Assassin's Creed movie. I'm not sure if that ever really even took off. There was a World of Warcraft movie. There's a Borderlands movie coming out. I haven't seen a lot on that, but I know that's coming.
I've seen that as well. I'm pretty excited for that. Yeah, Kevin Hart is Roland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Jack
yeah,
Black,
just like
I think, is also in it.
Yeah, he's Claptrap.
Oh my gosh.
But
and, there's actually someone important in there too. Go ahead, Cole.
But yeah, I don't know if you guys ever seen them. The Resident Evil movies.
I have seen them.
Now, I don't know if you remember those. I don't even think that they should have called them Resident Evil movies. They barely featured any of the actual characters. They barely based any of it on the story of Resident Evil. Is basically like, oh yeah, we have zombies. We're going to say that they were infected with the T virus or whatever. Oh, it's Resident Evil now. But I mean, but they made a whole franchise based off of that. But it's like, I don't think that they featured pretty much any of the actual main characters except for maybe Wesker, which is like one of the main villains in the Resident Evil franchise. I mean, people think Resident Evil, one of the first people that they think of when it comes to the protagonist is like Leon Kennedy. I don't remember Leon Kennedy being in any of the Resident Evil movies. I don't remember like really any of the main characters being in any of the Resident Evil movies except for Wesker. So I just don't get why they needed to call them Resident Evil movies, because from what I remember, they were just kind of shit movies in general.
Like, aren't they making a new one? Like, isn't there like a TV show out there, whether it's animated or not? I can't remember. There's another show out there, right?
Yep, there's
actual universe.
There's a CG there's a CG animated series on Netflix. It just came out like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And it is in universe. It takes place right after the events of Resident Evil 4, which is one of my personal favorite Resident Evil games. So it takes place right after Resident Evil 4. It features the main characters. It follows a actual narrative within the universe, within the lore, and they did a fucking great job on it. The only problem is it was 4 fucking episodes long. So I don't know why they felt the need to make a series and not make that an animated movie.
Yeah, it might have been like one of those like what are they, like the mini series or whatever.
Yeah, I could see that they might want to do that if they want to keep doing more seasons of it, which I really hope that they do, because I really enjoyed it personally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some, TV shows, I guess TV shows come from video games too, and the movies, some that are more focused towards anyone, not necessarily people like Assassin's Creed, they advertise it as very like, it's like the video game Assassin's Creed, same logo, same everything.
Yep.
So it's like, if you haven't played the Assassin's Creed games, you might not, be into it. But like the Witcher TV show has done great.
Yep.
And I watched it and it's great, but it's not super like exactly like it's towards people who aren't necessarily like played Witcher. Like I never played The Witcher, but I still understood everything, and like I thought the TV show was great. It didn't even have to be like, it didn't seem like it was from a video game. It just seemed like a really
Yeah,
cool TV
I
show
th-
that was like great to watch.
I think the tricky thing with The Witcher is The Witcher. I don't think that the Netflix series was necessarily based off of the video game. I think they took more inspiration from the books because that's how The Witcher started. It started off as a book series, which got adapted into a video game series. And then Netflix, I think, took more influence and inspiration off of the books rather than the video game. So the Witcher series is kind of in a tricky spot. But you do bring up a good point, though, that I think we could also try to touch on is, do video games really need to, should they be made into movies or adapted into series? Because I personally think that if they want to tell a narrative from a video game and properly adapt it, I think they should go more in line with a series rather than a movie, because it's kind of hard to compact like a story from a 8 to 12 hour game into a 1.5 to 2 hour runtime for a movie. Whereas I think you could really flesh that out and not have to skip a whole lot of narrative points with a series.
Well, yeah, you get more content opportunity with a series. You can make it as long as you want,
Yep.
as long as people are watching. Builds anticipation. The series is the way that things are going to go. I think more, and movies are still going to be there, of course. But I noticed we talked about ones that, like, in particular, there are a lot of good movies out there though, and a lot of bad ones. But we gotta at least give some recognition to some good ones, like somewhat good ones, like the Lara Croft ones.
Oh, the Tomb
Angelina
Raider
Jolie.
movies.
Yep. So Tomb Raider's out there. I personally think that was solid. That's a good one where you can do it. I think I think the only way you can really do this is in a universe created by the developers where it's a story-driven game. You can't. Borderlands will be good. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. There is a story there, but it's still an open world. Like, the story is there a little bit, but not quite as like a game like The Witcher or Skyrim, where the main story is really up in your face.
Yeah, it has a more open narrative.
Yeah,
I think that's got to be a requirement for them to do it. Otherwise,
yeah. If they make it more appeasing to anyone, like, I know not everyone's played the Borderlands. I mean, Borderlands has been around for a while. A lot of people know of it, but it's not like every single person. Like, there's plenty of people who have not played video games, but who will still watch it because of the actors, and I hope that they still find it, enjoyable, even if they haven't. If they open it up towards people who aren't necessarily, like, played the game. Like, I feel like the World of Warcraft movie and the Assassin's Creed movie are very, like, video game movie.
Yep.
So I feel like those were less open towards people who haven't played the games to, like, watch.
So I kind of have a sorry Ryan, but I kind of have a question that I kind of want to bring out to you guys is, should certain video games even be made into movies? Because I understand the whole, like, they want to take a story and compact it a little bit into a easier to digest format. I mean, if you look at games like The Last of Us or God of War, would those really even need to be made into movies? Because they're already so story and narrative driven that making it into a movie might even hurt in the long run, because if they want to take those long games, they're going to have to cut out a lot when it comes to either narrative, story, or a lot of lore, character building, stuff like that a video game is really able to flesh out.
I think there's a yes and no answer to this, at least from what is formulated in my head. I think the benefit of taking a video game and creating it into either reshaping the universe and telling a different story, or even telling the same story, I think it is a good thing because it expands gamers. It expands the player base of that game, of that universe, to someone who may not know it. Because isn't it, in my opinion, it's easier to sit down and, like, quickly watch a show and get a feel for it than it is to spend time to really play a game and take that kind of time and commitment, where you can just plop down whenever you're chilling and watch it on the couch, pop on a TV show and be like, holy shit, this is The Witcher. I've heard people talk about it, but goddamn, this is sick.
Right.
Like, they did a good job in that series of really capturing the action and the fact that there are some powerful fuckers in that universe, you know?
Yep.
So I think that actually did capture some people, and other shows, maybe not so much like Tomb Raider, but more where the digital media is so much more available to us. You can see The Witcher and be like, fuck, I mean, just go download this. It's on game. It's probably, it's got to be on Game Pass, right? Or Xbox, like Game Pass. It's got to be. If it's not,
maybe.
it's on somebody's. It's somewhere. So I think it does open it up. But there are definitely certain ones that should not be made into movies.
Yeah, because something that, like I said, is one of the things that makes gaming so great is the immersion, how much a game can draw you into its world. Where I feel like a lot of times with certain movies or TV shows, whatever, it can kind of do that, but not so much as a video game can. Because something that I've always kind of said is I feel like The Last of Us makes a better movie than a video game because of all the narrative and all the story that they make into that game. Whereas, like I've kind of been trying to say, is if you try to take that 12-hour story and cram it into a movie, I don't know how or if they can even capture the audience enough to be like, oh, this is what this world is like, I want to go play the game. It definitely puts a lot on like the directors and the story writers to make sure that they make that world immersive enough to sort of match the game itself. Because if, like you were saying, like if they want to do this and it helps like build the player base by drawing people from the series, they got a lot on their hands in order to build that immersiveness.
Yeah, I mean, you are getting a lesser experience for sure whenever you go from a game, especially like The Last of Us, but I've never played, but I've heard plenty enough about to understand it. You do get a lesser experience. You don't get to make the choices.
Yep.
You would normally make. You can't make choices on a TV show. They're made for you. Interactive TV is not like that because it would be fucked. Messed up.
I feel like Last of Us is basically like an interactive movie.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't personally played it. I've seen a lot of people play it. I've seen gameplay, but it's like movie quality, but you get to make decisions. It's like controlling like a movie. Almost.
You're right.
Like making your own movie with set characters and like a set story. So
right, like that's what I was kind of saying, is the video game helps build that immersion because you're in control of the characters, so you have to be in that world. Where as in the movie, you're just sitting on your couch in your bed or whatever, and you're just watching. You're a third party participant instead of actively driving the narrative forward with your actions.
Yeah, I can agree. Okay. I'm just looking up some other things here, trying to find some other movies that are making sense. But I think we've kind of nailed it. Are there any actual non-existing movies and TV shows that you'd like to see be made?
So
we'll end the segment there with what would you like to see made?
So like what video game would you like to see made into a movie or series?
Yep.
That's
it's tough.
Hard.
It's on a spot, but
I feel like a lot of video games also make their own like little mini kind of like TV series. I feel like Overwatch does this. They have like little shorts and stuff.
Yeah.
Valorant does shorts. Siege does shorts. So I'm not sure if like that, just like in a longer series. It'd kind of be nice for some video games. Like Siege has a lot of like all the characters have really extensive backgrounds, and a lot of the backgrounds are mixed. Like they know this person from wherever, and they either like them or dislike them. I feel like almost it'd be kind of cool to see like. It's hard for me. There's so many characters now. It's hard for me to like understand everyone's background. It'd be kind of cool to see some kind of like longer, like I guess it could be like a movie, but just describing how they all interact and how they all know each other. It could be the same with Overwatch and Valorant. Just like instead of there's little shorts, just one long, see how everyone is, not related, but how they come into each other's lives. So like you could understand backgrounds easier, because for someone who's a video game player, I don't always read the backgrounds, but I find them interesting. But I feel like it'd be better for video game players to like watch stuff on a screen than read things. At least for me, I don't like reading as much. I like watching. So I feel like I would
That's fine,
watch instead of having like a script of like a background, have like a video of the background that would play. Like, I feel like that would be more interesting to people like me.
Yeah, I fucking kind of hate that you brought up Siege because that would probably be my answer for some. I would like to see it be made into a series because, like you brought up, they did such a fucking great job with giving these characters these fleshed out backstories and having these organic relationships between the characters. And it definitely shows in a lot of the cinematics, which hats off to Ubisoft and the guys and gals and whoever was behind making those cinematics because they look incredible in my opinion. But yeah, like Bailey said, all the characters have these very extensive backstories that if they made it into a series, I feel could be really interesting to kind of flesh it out, and I think even flesh out a little bit more in the sort of the side of the lore of like why they have like these maps that they use as training grounds, because I'm pretty sure canonically at this point uh in Rainbow Six Siege, each match is kind of like a training simulator within the world of Rainbow Six Siege, because they had that cinematic where they were using simulation rounds instead of live rounds. So I think it'd be kind of cool to just see, like, let them really dive into the world of that and even expand off of that and have them like actually go in and do like counterterrorism missions and stuff like that with all the operators and see how they interact with each other.
Oh, can I add something to that before we? I was just gonna say, I think something like that would do better, not in like a movie theater, but like as like a video on their website or a video on YouTube. You know, like could still do ads and like make some money off of it. They don't have to make this whole huge expensive thing for free and display it for free. But I think if you put it in a movie theater, that could attract like not everyone you're like going for to see it, like people who are just going to the movie theater to see whatever and haven't like seen Siege before might not be the right audience. But I think something like that on their website or something like that would be like a better audience.
Although a counter to that, I think the reason why Siege could work though is because it could be marketed pretty much as a military-esque movie instead of just being like, oh, it's a video game movie. Because they've done plenty of Tom Clancy properties before and made them into movies, and they've had pretty good success with Jack Ryan. I'm pretty sure is a Tom Clancy property that they made into a movie with Tom Cruise, and it did pretty well. So I think with Siege, if they were able to market it right and not be like, oh, it's a video game movie, you know, I think they would be able to get butts in the seats and and be able to draw an audience.
I like that expression, get butts in seats.
So I actually can provide I'll agree with you on the Rainbow Six part of it. As far as that, they can actually do twofold with that whole storyline, because maybe some of our listeners out there have also read, or like I did, listen to the audiobook for Rainbow Six, the original book by Tom Clancy. A lot of that shit in there actually overlaps, and they took it and put it into the video game. Like Hereford Base, for example, now it isn't a fucking scale and all that crap, and actually what it is, but Hereford Base map in Siege is a training ground in case you haven't played it. But like Cole said, but it actually was where the Rainbow team met, was at Hereford Base. That's where all like your Ding Chavez and the rest of the crew met up. And each of them did have their own background story because each was from a different area. They were elite operators, and they did do missions and shit. And in the book, they were described to perfection. Fucking awesome. I'm actually getting goosebumps. that book though, I often thought that book should have been made into a movie because of how good the fucking story is. I won't ruin it, but it does have like this overall mission that they go on into the fucking jungle in South America to hunt down these dudes that are doing some bad shit. So they can incorporate both, I think. Take a little bit of the original base content there from the book, mix it in with a game, and actually have a really freaking good story. Like actually maybe bring some of those book characters to life that were so vital to creating the roles that are in the video game. Because a lot of those roles are definitely based off of some shit that Tom Clancy's written down somewhere.
Yep.
You know, or even some of his ghostwriters now. So definitely on board for seeing like a Siege or a Rainbow Six in general type movie. It'd be fucking sweet.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see that because, like I said, my personal all-time favorite video game. I think
that is true.
I think though, you could probably do anything Tom Clancy that's even like been made to video games and probably do pretty good successfully with a series or a movie because, like I said, it's Tom Clancy, so it doesn't have to be specifically a video game narratively driven series or movie. It's a Tom Clancy narratively driven series or movie because like games like Ghost Recon, like you could take any of the Ghost Recon games and just it's like a military setting movie or series and probably have pretty good success with it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So nice little pauses there. You like that pro fucking shit right there? All right. The last topic was a Cole topic, and I will send it right to him. Actually, I think it was me, but you're the expert.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
read it real quick, and I'm gonna let you take over.
All right.
Let me read it real quick, and then you take over. Basically, the topic is anime underappreciated in the U.S. And I mean underappreciated. Like, do more people need to know about it? Is it that good? Are people not giving it a chance because of some sort of stereotype or stigma they have? They don't want to do it. Cole.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
All right. So is anime underappreciated in the US? Anime, I feel, is actually, I think it's starting to come on the rise in the US a little bit. Before, definitely. Like, before, it was definitely like, when you watch anime, you're a weeb, you're a wannabe Japanese person, you're a nerd. It's very looked down upon, much like how gaming was a long time ago. But I feel like just like with gaming, anime I think is going to start making its way even more and more into the mainstream, into pop culture in general. Because honestly, before, I mean, let's kind of start off with, I think a lot of people nowadays, and this may be why it's changing, is kind of like my Bailey, your Ryan's, like our age demographic. A lot of people actually grew up watching anime and they just didn't really see it as that when they were younger. Because how many people have you heard that talked about Dragon Ball Z when they were younger? I mean, come on.
So, bro,
I mean, come on. How many of us when we were younger wanted to do a fucking Kamehameha and go Super Saiyan? Let's be honest here.
The YouTube kid actually almost got there, I think. Classic YouTube video. I do remember watching, though, when I was younger, watching Drag. It was on the summer, and I had nothing else to do sometimes because I grew up, for those of you who don't know, I grew up in the middle of East Bumfuck nowhere. I won't say where, but in the middle of nowhere in New York, upstate New York, and sitting at home watching Dragon Ball Z, and I'm like, the other thing I remember, it was the, who fought Vegeta? Was it Goku?
I mean, fucking everybody's fought for Vegeta, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, like the main fight. Like that lasted like 7 fucking episodes. Was that Goku and Vegeta?
It may have been. I'm not sure. I'm not a huge Dragon Ball guy, so
okay. This is the only thing I remember. It was basically these two guys floating in the air and just huffing and puffing and talking shit. And then they
for like 7
like
episodes.
It was. I remember it being to be continued. I'm like, what? It wasn't bad, but I'm like, these guys one of them's got to get tired eventually. And I know that when you're in that Super Saiyan mode, you don't get tired really.
Mm-hmm.
So they just beat the shit out of each other constantly. And that's all I saw of Dragon Ball Z was just these two beating the shit out of each other. So, but I just had to laugh a little bit at the Dragon Ball Z because I knew almost everyone knows what Dragon Ball Z is.
Yeah, because like I said, like anime, a lot of anime is actually pretty popular, especially in the mainstream. just people for some reason don't acknowledge it as an anime thing. They're just like, oh, it's Dragon Ball Z. It's its own entity. It's not an anime. It's Dragon Ball Z. But but yeah, I think sort of throughout the evolution of anime, because like when like someone like me was younger, grew up with a lot of people could grow up with like Adult Swim and Toonami airing a lot of anime like Inuyasha, Cowboy Bebop, all those really classic animes. But as it kind of grew, you know, we had like Naruto. I think a lot of people around that time watching Naruto is where the whole anime kind of got looked down upon in the US, because you had the people running around with the Hidden Leaf Village headbands doing the fucking Naruto run. You know, just like that. Yeah, so there's like a whole lot of cringe shit going on with that. But I feel with Attack on Titan, I think Attack on Titan was probably one of the major shifts in anime and how it was looked at in the US, just because of it felt more adult than a lot of anime before that was talked about.
That's the exact word I was looking for. Is like, I didn't realize personally that I thought it was all kid shit, because I mean a lot of it does look like that when it's, you don't see the good, like some of the good shows are out there, but like the really good shows are usually not up in your face like Dragon Ball Z is.
Yep.
And when I found like like I know Attack on Titan is definitely mainstream, but I found a couple other ones that were like corny but adults, and I'm like, shit, I go, kids probably shouldn't be watching this right about now. Like some dude's head just got fucking exploded.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. Unexpected and actually a good thing. I mean, it was awesome. But now I know Bailey, you don't watch a lot of anime, and that's okay because I don't watch a lot either. Cole is definitely the expert. But what have you accidentally like watched a show and now realized that like, oh man, that's actually anime?
I've accidentally, I know a big thing I said underneath everyone, but a big thing everyone's gotten into, well, not recently, maybe this was like a year ago during the pandemic, Avatar, which
Oh, The Last Airbender.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people, you know, watch that as just like another good show. I'm not sure if a lot of people, because like lots of people, it was like a huge thing. I'm not sure if everyone realized that as anime, but in middle school I went through like huge spurt of watching anime, and I watched so much anime. I watched.
Did you? Okay, so
really?
Oh yeah.
I did not know
this. You watched more than you let off on that.
Yeah.
Like, wait, Bailey doesn't know anything.
I just haven't watched anime in the last like 3 years, but you watched all.
Oh, Jesus! So I'm definitely the one that's not,
yeah, Ryan's
that's
the
okay.
Ryan's the
I'm
newbie
fine.
here.
I haven't
That's
watched any of
fine.
the new Attack on Titan stuff, but I watched. I think Attack on Titan was like first anime that I probably watched.
Yeah.
I watched.
That was my first.
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Great.
That's a good one.
I have not finished Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail has 82,000 episodes, and they're still making more, but that was great. Sword Art Online, great. I watched a lot of other ones that were just like, 10 episodes, and I can't really. Why are you laughing? What?
In the anime community, Sword Art Online is actually like very hated.
Why? I thought it was good.
Because everybody's like, oh, Kirito is such a fucking edgelord.
I mean, true, but I still thought it was like the story was good, the action was good. It kept me interested. I didn't want to not watch. I've heard Death Note. I started to watch Death Note, couldn't finish it.
Oh yeah. Okay,
I couldn't.
Oh god.
I couldn't finish.
Did any of you guys watch the live action movie, the Netflix one?
Yes, I did.
I have not.
It was different because who played the voice of the creature?
Ryuk.
William Dafoe, right?
Yep, it was Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, yeah. So he played it and he did a good job. It was creepy as shit.
Yep, and that is pretty much where everybody said that was like the best part of the movie is Willem Dafoe. People do not like the Netflix Death Note movie.
Okay, anime series was better, but
yes,
it was still interesting.
The main issue that people had with the Death Note movie is they advertised it as a adaptation. It was supposed to adapt the anime, but then they did not adapt the anime. I mean, yep. You take the main character, Light, and you give him a fucking American ass last name, Light Turner, instead of I can't exactly remember what his last name was in the anime. I think it was like Yagami or something like that. You know, it's very Japanese last name because no, it's an anime. But I mean, they changed the setting, changed a lot about the
Good memory.
characters. What's that?
Good memory.
Was it Yagami?
Good,
All right.
good memory.
All right, so yeah, they changed so much about it that it just didn't become an adaptation anymore. And then they also had like the really weird romantic subplot going on, and there were like a lot of like weird comedy bits that just felt very out of place for a story like Death Note, which is like a very like pretty serious and dark kind of story.
It was actually.
Yep.
Have you guys ever seen Assassination Classroom? I'm just gonna go with the weirdest one I've seen so far.
I have not seen that, but I've heard a lot about that. I heard that they even made a live action adaptation of it.
This one was we couldn't stop watching. It was so fucking weird. It's just this smiley face dude with octopus arms.
Yeah, the big
and
yellow
he
guy.
Cannot, the whole premise of it is that he's an alien and he's going to destroy the earth unless these kids that he is like selected to be part of this school program can find a way to kill him. And they have a certain amount of time. And everything that they try fails. And they're like good. They're like bad kids that are good at doing bad shit. And and they just can't kill him. They even bring in like some sort of like secret assassin or a robot to fucking try to kill him, and they can't do it. And he just sits there and taunts them the entire time, and it's just goofy as shit. For some reason, I actually love that show. I don't know why.
Yep.
But that was just like the more random one I've seen out there. So if you haven't seen it and you want like some weird shit to laugh at, just Assassination Classroom. Do it.
Yeah, that's sort of one of the things that I can really appreciate about anime is they are willing to do fucking anything when it comes to a story, characters, whatever. Anime does not have any boundaries to really follow. They're able to do what they really want, which I really appreciate a lot about anime because I mean, where else are you going to get a story and character design and action and whatnot like Attack on Titan or Demon Slayer or Dragon Ball? You know, what other medium can you really have all this work as well other than anime?
That's a good point. I can't think of. I mean, you can make it into like even like if you switched it over to like an Americanized cartoon, I don't think it would ever carry the same weight. The creative, the art style, it could be, I guess, replicated, but I don't know. I think the creative minds of these writers is just amazing. The shit that I would never even think of, even if I was tripping on acid, I don't think I would come up with half this stuff. There's no way.
Yeah, but
and
like
I think the originality is lacking over here in North America.
Yeah, I think with Americanized cartoons, they like to lead a lot into more of a realism aspect. Except for maybe some like kids cartoons like the Adventure Time show or anything like that. That are very, very cartoonish and childish. But with anime, like you said, I don't think they could get away with doing a Americanized art style because if you take a show like Demon Slayer, for example, the art style is so incredibly unique to the Japanese culture that it would not. I seriously do not think it would work at all if it was westernized at all because it takes a lot of influence from like fairly old school classic Japanese art with a lot of the waves and whatnot that they use in the series. I get my Demon Slayer in there at some point.
No, it's all good. So I guess like the main, if we want to, now that we've all talked about, we can circle back. Do you think that there should be more people than there are now watching, or do you think like we have a strong enough following to keep anime in a nice living community that just continue to like stay strong?
I think, well, one of the hard things about the anime industry is just with its workforce, just because the Japanese work lifestyle is insane compared to pretty much any other Western country. But I think if there was more support for it, that it would help that force out more. But in terms of if it's still underappreciated, I personally think so. I think that there's still a lot of people out there that look at it as some really weird, weeb, geeky type shit. But I think anime is making its way more into the mainstream, into more main pop culture, especially with a series like Demon Slayer, because Demon Slayer really, like Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan, I think are probably two anime that I could really credit for uh anime becoming more popular in the US, because Attack on Titan really showed people that anime isn't just some really isn't for kids, isn't just for kids, because that's how people used to view it, is it was childish. But Attack on Titan came out and people were like, oh, okay, maybe it's not just kid shit. Then Demon Slayer came out and took the world by storm, essentially, because it became one of the most viewed anime of all time. And with the movie that came out earlier this year, it just topped sales charts all over the world. It did a phenomenal job when that movie came out.
Mhm. I had not seen that one. That's one I'm not really well versed in.
Disappointed.
That's
Have
fine,
to watch it.
you know.
I
mean, I'm
was
pretty perfect, but I'm not that perfect.
I'm pretty perfect. Okay.
All right, there's the clip for this episode.
There it is.
I'm pretty perfect, but I'm not that perfect.
You know, I
I
mean,
It's
facts.
similar for people, people go to movie theaters and still watch like um movies that are directed towards kids or like cartoons and stuff. Like I can't remember the last one that I've seen, but I've definitely gone can't remember the last one I've seen, but I know that's like a common thing. Like, people go watch it could be a rated PG movie. You
Yep.
still go watch it. They're nice. Like, I think that's people have seen so many movies that could honestly a lot of like the cartoonish movies, if they had the style of the Japanese movies, could be considered close enough to anime. They're not like a completely different like an anime versus just like it's like a rate like a PG-13 like cartoonish kind of with like a lot more style and they look so much better.
Mm.
No, not like downing on anime because I love anime, but I feel like I don't know, it's just like the stigma behind it. But when you actually start watching it, it's like got some great story plots,
Mhm.
better battles than you could ever imagine, and they just have like the freedom to do whatever they want. So
Yeah.
I think. Oh, go ahead, Cole. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. But I was just gonna say it is kind of weird that in a lot of countries, especially in the U.S., people will go out and watch like a Disney or Pixar movie like any day of the week, but as soon as it's anime related, it then kind of has that stigma of like, oh, it's childish, it's a cartoon. But people will go out and watch Toy Story 17.
pretty much.
Toy Story 17.
Which
Woody gets it chopped off. I couldn't think of anything else. You gonna say
and
something, Bailey?
Well, and that too of like with the new this is kind of off topic, but I'm gonna come back. But like the new Fast and Furious 8 movie, people have been like, okay, there's just
9.
way too many. There's just like no point in having this many. But anime
Exactly.
can get away with a lot of animes have 1,000 episodes, and they can get away with it just because of they're not telling the same story over and over again with
Yeah.
different
Yeah, One
people.
Piece I think legit has over 800 episodes, and I'm pretty sure it's still ongoing.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So it's just the way that they can go at the storytelling, that they can it'd be so easy if there's some anime that, not as popular ones that I'll watch, and there'll be like 4 episodes in a row that they're just like doing nothing. And that if the story's not good enough, I won't want to watch it. But a lot of these ones that have the 800 episodes, it doesn't seem repetitive. They're doing different things, but it's like enough action and story and plot that it doesn't make me feel like, oh, this is boring now. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think the wrap up part of that, at least that part of it, is I think for me wrapping it up, I'll let you guys can say as much as you want, but in case people don't know, in the podcast, a very important person in my life aside from these two fools is of course my girlfriend Courtney, who I've been with for like I don't know a million years, like 7 years and a half, maybe I don't know.
7.
Yeah, 7.5 million years. She said that when I asked her this question about anime appreciation, she said it really well, and I think that's where I would probably agree with her, is that the following that the existing fans like Cole and like you were Bailey, those fans are over the top fine. They love it. It is not underappreciated by the current fans, but I think what she said, it could be improved, or not even improved, but the best thing that could happen is to get more people just like that, where they're super passionate about it, to really bring anime into like the mainstream, where like people are going to like a Comic-Con or something like that to really go nuts over certain anime shows. I know Comic-Con is bigger than just that, but it definitely has a huge presence there. So if we have more fans showing up to these sort of events or pushing on social media, that's probably where it could end up. But that was her thought. I wanted to toss it in because I thought it was a good little snippet. And I think we're gonna have a cat walk across the screen here.
So Ryan, I kind of have a question for you. If you were recommended some anime, would you watch them, or would you have any interest in expanding your palette when it comes to anime?
Yeah, of course. Why not? I mean, it's a show. If I don't like it, I'll turn it off, but I'll try it. It's
All right.
I think the hardest part is there's so many of them out there. Trying to find a really good one aside from like the average recommendation, that's the hardest part for me. Is like we stumbled upon Assassination Classroom, like it was just so fucking random, but it was worth it. But not every single one has been like a great hit. Like some of it's like what?
Yeah,
like
very kind of out there.
I'm not part of the inside joke that they're having here in this show, so I'm just gonna close that out and take my ball and fucking go home.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the big things that I really appreciate about anime, is because, like you said, there's so much out there. So you can find something that you're interested in. It's not like, well, it's anime, it's set on this type of thing. Like there's fantasy anime, horror, slice of life comedy, action. Yeah, sports
The
anime.
volleyball
Basically,
anime.
any existing genre has an anime counterpart to it. Like any there's something that exists in the anime world for you somewhere. So basically, give anime a shot is what we're trying to fucking say.
So
just give it a shot. It's not for kids.
What if like Bailey and I listed you like 3 anime each, like 3 or 5 anime each? Would you be interested in maybe checking them out?
3 to 5.
Eventually, when I could get to them.
Watch all of them.
When I'm not doing this.
Yeah, obviously on in your own free time.
Yeah, what do you got?
Bailey, do you have anything that because you brought up that you watched a lot of anime when you were younger.
Well, you didn't like half of the anime that I watched anyways. So and half the ones I might watch, like I would recommend, if someone first watching anime, definitely recommend Attack on Titan. I think that's like a good starting anime. There's a lot of action. You're not gonna get bored. It's interesting. And then Full Alchemist Brotherhood. That one's great, like story. And then also, so you've seen both of them, and I don't know.
Although you probably haven't gotten caught up on Attack on Titan.
I haven't either, so I feel like I should. Also.
I could tell you after the podcast. So I mean, you can sit there and be like, it's been out for 3 years. There's no spoilers. No, I'm not gonna be a dick. If you haven't watched it, the whole point here is to like get more people watching anime. I'll tell you after we do this podcast, like what I've seen, and you can tell me how far behind I am. Some shit was going down.
Sure.
With some just like really recent
some
episodes,
fucking Titans, big dudes, really big.
Well, they have the first half of season 4, which came out earlier this year, I believe.
I haven't watched.
And Attack on Titan, even though it's just on season 4, it came out in I think 2013. That's when the show I'm pretty sure started. So it's one of those shows where between seasons they would take like 5 years, kind of like a Game of Thrones.
What season?
Yeah,
What
and
we finish on.
you know the newer anime, I saw this on a YouTube video, more on like the Quarter channel's YouTube video podcast.
Mhm.
Not podcast, it's just a YouTube video. But they're talking about, they had some animators on, and they were talking about how like the newer, like, okay, so they have the Avatar, and then they have Korra, which is new, kind of based off of that Avatar. Which one was, I guess it's
Last
Avatar. I'm not
Airbender.
sure. Last Airbender.
Yep.
That's what I thought. I just want to say something wrong. But the amount of drawings that they did for each like episode bumped up by like, it was like 20,000.
Yep.
It's like the amount of more work to make them more quality, to have less like more images between each, like if an arm moves, it's not 3, it's now 20. And so all that work to make them more high quality is just crazy stuff. I couldn't. I couldn't ever.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's something that's kind of funny to keep bringing up Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's a heavily debated topic if Avatar is even an anime.
But I feel like
Because people like to classify anime as from a Japanese studio,
Yeah.
but in Japan, anime just means animation. So they would call Monsters Inc. an anime in Japan.
yeah, and I feel like it depends. Yeah, they just want like the studio who did the animations to be in like a certain area, and also like the story. But just that's the same probably as other, like, I'm sure Attack on Titan has done that too. The more recent episodes, they don't want them to look like they were made. You know, they want them to be more high quality, so that's probably why they're taking longer to make them more drawings.
Yeah, the
but,
art style has definitely changed from the most recent season to the very first season. But
Another
anyways, yeah, we should probably like just start listening off these anime more instead of going into these deeper discussions, because we are starting to get close to our time frame that we tried setting. So Bailey, you brought up Attack on Titan and Fullmetal Brotherhood.
Have you
Yes.
watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, Ryan?
I have not. I think
Okay, well,
I'm only about Courtney has.
anime or not, it's
I see Cole
good.
twitching.
Yeah.
Cole is twitching
Oh no.
a little bit. No, just you. Like the look on your face is like I don't know if you're excited or not.
Oh. Well.
What? Please don't tell me you don't like that.
No, I was going to say The Last Airbender.
Anime
Fuck.
The Last-
Avatar: The Last Airbender is a classic when it comes to just shows in general, because again, it's kind of like a Dragon Ball Z situation where a lot of people grew up watching it. So, but I would say that even though it was definitely marketed more towards a kid demographic, the story and everything in Avatar it's kind of like more family oriented, so the adults have a lot that they can appreciate out of it as well. But so yeah, if those are your three, Bailey, I'll go ahead and get on to my three. So I'll try to think of some that I feel you might like. I mean, Demon Slayer, I'm obviously going to recommend. It's my hands down favorite anime of all time. I mean, fucking, it's an anime that's blown up ever since it aired on Netflix, and it's for a very good reason. The art, like, voice acting is great, art style is incredible, the fights, all the animation is done so well, and fucking
I'm looking at pictures of it. I'm looking at some stuff on it right now.
yeah, but the comedy is handled very well. Like the tones in general, they know how to handle them, so it's not like there's something sad going on and then they throw out a joke or something. But Demon Slayer, 100% recommend. I love it so much. I'd say another one that you might like, it's an older one. If you're looking for something that's more episodic and not so much like every episode has a overarching story or narrative, Cowboy Bebop is
Okay.
incredible.
See, it's names like that. It's names like that that get you, you know?
Yeah,
Like Cowboy Bebop, what the fuck is that?
it's awesome. I would highly recommend it. It's only got one season. It's like 27 episodes long, I think. From
I've seen that. I've not seen it, but like I've seen it up there.
Yeah, that is a pretty wild show. Very violent, graphic, gory. Doesn't really pull any punches, but the animation, art style, all done so well. And from my understanding, the script writing was done in English, so the voice acting for the English dub sounds very natural, because that's one of the things that kind of draws a lot of people. Yeah, it kind of draws a lot of people away from anime. Is a lot of times that the voice acting in the English dub doesn't sound natural or good. They aren't interested in. But
I do know one rule of anime: it's subs over dubs. So
people
I like dubs.
I don't mind reading the subs in here in the natural voices. Like the original voices don't bother me. I think it adds an element of authenticity to it. And honestly, they sound better than we do when it comes to that sort of shit.
I think
the actual original actors, the dubs kind of suck sometimes.
To be fair, I think that's because a lot of times the sourcing for English voice acting back then wasn't handled as good, because I mean, anime was around since the 1950s, and it took till Cowboy Bebop for people to be like, oh, English voice acting can actually be good. Like, yeah, but like I said, that's kind of how it was before, whereas now I feel like anime studios are taking more time to consider a English audience, so they're putting more effort into their English voice acting, and that's why I recommended like Cowboy Bebop, Demon Slayer, and Castlevania, is because you can listen to them in English and they're great. Like the voice acting in those three series are fantastic.
I think it froze up on us, the live stream. Great. I think it had enough.
I think that's just a sign that it might be time to end it then.
I think it is. I think it's time. I'm not moving around, at least.
I am.
Anyways.
Oh yeah, Bailey
guys,
is.
That'll be it for our show right here. We're gonna call it before everything decides to just go belly up. So, thank you so much for stopping by and listening to us bullshit about whatever bullshit came up. Most of it was topic related, but it was still fun.
Yep.
I think we did a pretty good job, guys. What do you think?
I think that for a first episode, we knocked it out of the park. I'm pretty proud of what we did.
Beautiful. All right, everyone that is listening live or later on, be sure to give us a follow or subscription on either Twitch. You can do all the socials: Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and any sort of podcast service. Be sure to give us a follow or a subscription, depending on whatever is available to you. Again, thank you so much for stopping by, and we will be doing this hopefully weekly. So there might be a little bit of a gap between our first and second episode because of approval processes and all the red bullshit tape.
Yep, everything we're going to have to go through.
Yep. So, all right, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Later.
Later. Yeah.